Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Jim Wojtkun from Baldwin Wallace. Welcome, Coach.
Welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And as we're saying, loving your roster because you got a girl from my hometown, you got a girl from the school system my mom worked at, and so being an Ohio guy, it's nice to talk to an Ohio school. Um, but let's talk about things. You just wrapped up your season, so I'm sure you're hot and heavy into the recruiting side of things. So when is it that you're really starting to talk to players? What year in school are you? I'm guessing you're hitting the
Well, we're
23s real
trying to
hard
take
right now, or
we're trying to take full advantage of what the NCAA allows us, since the big guys can't start until June of the junior year. We try to get a hold of them before, so we're trying to be at least 6 months to expose ourselves to. So this year we'll start working with the 2025s just to introduce them to who BW is, to create the opportunity for them to get to know us. So when they have the opportunity to talk to the scholarship programs on their June beginning date, they at least have an understanding of who we are and what a Division III mindset represents and what a Division III opportunity represents. We won't close at near the pace. I can't see a scholarship school having any opportunities for 2023s available, and yet we'll still add a few 2023s to our recruiting class and to our commit list over the next 6-8 weeks to make that happen. So we start early, but we run late. So for us, our recruiting calendar is pretty big in that regard.
yeah. Well, in terms of looking at players and seeing in places, are there kind of the tournaments that are the must hit list for you?
Well, for us, there are several. I mean, we run the gamut. We'll look at an ECNL and an ECNL regional league event. We'll definitely go to a GA regional or national league event. We'll look at National League 64. They'll be interesting to us. But then we're also going to try to get to the local clubs that we've been able to be blessed with over the time. So we don't always get an ECNL player on our roster or a GA player on our rosters, and we welcome them when they do. But we'll talk to the local clubs that might play in a regional league. We'll talk to the local clubs that are probably playing in a U.S. club soccer local regional event. We'll catch some of the clubs when they're hosting weekends for various elements or various league games. So we're going to be really active across the board with the major national entities, but we're never going to turn our back on some of the smaller local clubs that have helped us build our program over the years.
Okay. Well, what about camps? Do you guys do your own? Do you and your staff work other camps? How do they fit in?
We'd love to have more of our own, but facility limited situation, and we have better facilities than a lot of Division III programs, but we don't have an indoor facility, so that kind of limits what we do in the winter. So we'll try to work some major camps. We have great relationships with some of the D1 and D2 programs around us that have some indoor facilities, so we'll be at their places. We'll do our own camps. We'll try to do one in the spring, one in the summer. We're always successful with the summer camp. Sometimes we're successful with the spring camp, depending on if we can find a weekend that corresponds to what's happening with the ECNL or the GA or some of the state cup opportunities that exist. We love to work, like I said, with our friends at maybe Kent State or Cleveland State, University of Akron, that they'll invite us in to observe or coach or do a session. And we love those opportunities. We never turn our back on them.
Okay. Well, whether it's at one of those camps or tournament games or anything else, kind of what's your hierarchy of what you're looking for in a player, whether that's on the field stuff or off the field stuff?
Oh, it starts with passion for us. Do they love the game? Let's be perfectly honest. At any level, Division I, II, III, NAI, JUCO, if you're not passionate about it, it gets old real fast. We're talking about a 6-day-a-week grind, 12-month-a-year grind, and our grind might not be as bad as, say, a Power 5, but they've got a grind in the winter. So we want passion first. That makes a huge difference to us. We want to talk to them and make sure that they're a great teammate. We talk about our culture. In our culture, we call you with me. And the premise of that, and a lot of people have it, we before me. Can I make my teammates better? Can I hold them accountable? So we want them to have that energy level and the commitment to their teammates to matter. And then you look at technical skills. And to be perfectly honest, you have to have a first touch before anything matters. You can't teach if you can't bring the ball down. You played. If you can't bring the ball down, you can't teach the next step. We like to look at first touch in terms of what we call our 3D model. Can you bring it down? Can you make it directional? Can you be deceptive? So we're looking at all those three things when we look at a player in a camp environment, a game environment, or whatever. So But we want a good teammate. We want a teammate that comes from a good family. We want them to bring the energy to bear, and we want them to enjoy our passion for the sport. It's it's the world's game for a reason, and we love it.
That's great. Well, in terms of recruiting, do you guys look at international players at all, at the transfer portal at all? Do those things factor in?
I would love to look at international players. Not because I want to pepper my roster with them, just because I think from a human growth perspective, it would give our players ample opportunity to learn about different cultures and different things. We at BW are limited. I have to be perfectly honest. We have very limited money for international students, given the fact that we provide academic and financial aid. But the financial aid portion of our model that works for our domestic student doesn't necessarily work with our international students. So we've got to find an international student that has some economic wherewithal in addition to being intellectually or academically sound. So that's why we limit our. The transfer portal is a blessing and a curse. I love to look at the 200 players that go in on an everyday level now, but it's a very difficult process because a Division I player has Division I aspirations. They received money, they've been in that, so it's difficult to say, am I taking a step back? We're at the D3 level. No, you're not taking any step back. Our measure of competitiveness, how we play, how we teach, what our expectations are, the desire to win, no different than from us from the Power Five. It's just a different balance, but it's hard sometimes to explain that balance. So that's why I think the portal is both a blessing and a curse for us.
Yeah. Well, in talking about internationals, you kind of mentioned the academic aid and that kind of thing. Can you just give me a rough overview of what kind of it looks like to attend Baldwin Wallace in terms of what scholarships are available,
Sure.
what kind of that financial aid packages look like?
I think from a pure academic opportunity standpoint, BW is a very generous institution. Right now, this year, we're probably hovering around the $49,000 total cost, room, board, tuition, books. Probably be slightly over 50 in 23, 24. That being said, our top academic package runs at 21, which is a great model. We also have instituted in year one what we call our visit scholarship. So if a player were to visit us, they'd get access to an additional $2,000. And then we have other opportunities for out-of-state residents. They have the opportunity to earn what we call the Cleveland Residency Grant. So it's applicable to those in outside the state of Ohio. That's worth up to another $5,000. So we can cover well over 50% for a student that brings in a 3.9 or better GPA and meets the other various criteria. So I'm saying, from a 50% standpoint, if I told you I can give you 50% to play soccer, you're going to look at me and say, whoa. So I'm saying I can give you 50% to come to a great academic institution and play soccer. I want a whoa too,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing we try to stress to a lot of folks is that you got to look at that academics first because that's going to get you recruited quicker than anything else.
Well, we like to actually look at that when we call our 4 and 40 principle. Is that can I give you a great soccer experience for 4 years, make you a better soccer player, really give you the enjoyment and the passion of the game? But the most important criteria for making a decision is what we call the 40 year. Can I create the foundation that you're going to be successful in your career for 40 years? Nothing against the NWSL. I think it does a great job. But you look at the teams and the amount of players they draft every year that are maybe domestic or international, and you're probably looking at 40 or 42 women a year over 1,100 schools that play women's soccer, and you're looking at 40 women. So to be perfectly honest, you need that foundation to see what your career is going to be.
Yeah, well, and it's a great segue. Let's talk a little bit about the school. Obviously, there's some folks out there that probably aren't familiar with Baldwin Wallace. So can you give me some of the insights, the stuff about the school that's awesome that maybe I'm just not going to find by clicking around the website?
I think the hardest thing to recognize is there are so many quality institutions out there, of which we're one of them, that have great opportunities. We do tremendous in the sciences. Our pre-professional programs, say pre-med, pre-physicians assisting, things in those nature, sports medicine or any kind of opportunity like that in athletic training, we do great. Right now, I probably have 15 scientists on the team between nursing, physical therapy, physicians assisting, and then we probably have one of the top 5 neuroscience programs in the country. Wow. By the whole neuroscience foundations that look at that. So there's that opportunity. We have a tremendous speech pathology program that leads to, we call it communication disorders as an undergraduate major that leads into a speech path master's degree or a doctor of audiology. So again, from those science perspectives, we do good. We probably are teaching the lion's share of academics, teachers that end up in and around Ohio. So our teaching program, our business program, and our sports management program now are incredible. I think one of the interesting things for anyone who wants to come to us for a sports management degree that you can't find in independent research is the fact that we give them field experiences from even before they come onto campus. I have a player sophomore year, before she even came onto campus for preseason, she had worked an event, the Hall of Fame game for the NFL in Canton, Ohio. And as an incoming freshman, she was invited to do that to get field experience. And those are the kinds of things we provide. This year, we're sending players on our team that are in the sports management program to work the college football national championship game, the Super Bowl. We had a group going to the master's degree to work there for the entire week of the master's degree, of the master's golf tournament. I guess should learn how to speak. But to create the opportunity for them now in that environment. So those are some things you can't find in the research, but that exists here because of what we've been able to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Especially as a sport management grad, I did my grad work at Ohio University, so love to see that.
Again, one of my best friends was the director of that program for a long time. Do you know Jim Kaler?
Oh yeah. I know
Jim
Jim.
and I go way back. We went to high school together.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Well, he's up back your way at Cleveland State now.
Yep.
Well, great. Well, let's talk about, we talked a little bit about academics, but let's talk a little bit more. So, how do your student athletes in particular really balance the academic rigors and the athletic demands that are put on?
One of the things we try to do from a team standpoint, actually, what I asked my assistant to do from a team standpoint is get our players' academic load after registration, and then she'll build a spreadsheet. So we try to create the environment where we'll build training times around our players' academic times. Not always 100% successful. So we might have conflicts. Like there might be a Tuesday night training where one or two players can't make it because of a class in their major. Well, you know what? Academics always takes priority for us. So they're not missing class for practice. They're missing practice for class, but they'll work with us and find out what they need to accomplish in that space. So because we have a training pitch and a game pitch, we have the flexibility to have some additional training time. So we're not locked into saying, oh my God, we have to train at 8 because that's the only available time. We'll build a training time based on our players' academic load, which helps us in that regard. So that's one of the balance things we do. We create the opportunity that if a player has a major test or they need it and they need to step away for training for a day, we're going to give them that flexibility. And we're going to ask them to make it up because it's not a free day, but we're going to create the opportunity for them to take away some of that burdensome stress of finals or classwork or midterms that they might need to do. And again, our players don't often ask for that, but we're going to give them the opportunity to do that, to make that. And we tell them that if there's a conflict between academics and athletics in our world, there's no conflict because academics takes precedent. And granted, we got to miss some class days when we travel and when we play. We'll give them the tools to work with their professors, that they're not being held to a different standard than the rest of the class, but we're going to give them the tools they need to succeed in the classroom. And to be perfectly honest, we're really happy where we're at. Team GPA right now hovers right around 3.55. I can't argue. I got a couple of students that still haven't got their first college B, so we kind of like that too.
That's what you like to see. That's what you like to see. Well, let's switch gears, talk a little bit more about the soccer side of things. As we talked about recruiting, is there a roster size that's kind of your target that you're going for each year?
Well, we carried 34 last year, which is a little bigger than we'd like. We think 32 is a great number with 4 goalkeepers, and we weather some injuries and have the capacity to play 11 aside. The university asks us to be around a certain number, but they're not focused on us having a recruiting quota. So we're not like, oh goodness, I know there's some schools out there with 50, 60, 70 women on a roster. I'm thinking, holy cow. We don't have to keep a developmental team. And we keep everyone engaged. We're lucky with our resources that we dress and travel everyone we play. So we keep the team engaged in that regard. So I don't have a travel roster. So for us, it allows us to build that team chemistry, that team camaraderie, that sense of bonding that really helps. And we're very, very fortunate that the university supports us in that endeavor.
Oh, that's tremendous. What about your staff? How big is your staff? What role does everybody play there?
Sure. I have a couple student assistants. I have one assistant, Lex Manoa. Lex was a great college player herself, and she's on staff. I have another assistant, a part-time assistant, Tyler, that does a great job for us, and then we have 2 student assistants. So we're covered off in what we need to do. Would I like to be, I think we all want more people. I think that's human beings, but I think where we're at right now gives us the ability to interact with our women. I'm really, really pleased with the fact that my number 1 assistant, Lex, brings both the female perspective to bear as well as the female college player perspective to bear. So she's built some really important and integral relationships with our women that allow them to grow not only as players but as people. We also have a tremendous medical staff. Our lead athletic trainer, Christine, has built an incredible rapport with the athletes. So both from a physical ability and health standpoint, from physically, she's also been able to engage them from a mental health perspective. So we really want to make sure that our athletes are fully cared for physically and mentally. COVID brought out an incredible strain in the athletic world, and we've been able to address that real positively. And I think that's a testament to Christine, as well as to our testament to our affiliation as a program, as an institution with the Cleveland Clinic. So that gives us world-class medical care here on campus.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, in terms of on the field stuff, can you give me a good description of your style of coaching, the team style of play?
Sure. I think it's a hybrid of how people talk. Are we capable of possessing the ball? Yes. Do we like to kick it around just to kick it around? No. We want to break lines relatively quickly. We want to get in behind. We want to score goals. So we try to play the game at a pace that allows us to do that. How can we quickly get forward? Can we win the ball? Can we disconnect the other team? Can we break a line and get in behind? We traditionally shape in a 4-3-3 with a goalkeeper, 1-4-3-3. But we're fluid enough and I think soccer IQ savvy enough to switch. There's teams in our conference that demand we play in different formations, and we do. And our women are capable of doing that. What we look for from our perspective is can you receive a ball, like we said, with a purpose, our 3Ds? Can you be able to skip a layer if you can? So if I'm a center back, can I find a 9 if it's on? And are we smart enough to play off each other? So we want to make sure that we're continually moving. We talk out in our lingo, we call it resetting angles. Can we play a ball, and then how do I find the next angle to make myself dangerous? So we look to do that. We look to find women that can hit a ball, that are comfortable in the box, and we look to make sure that we can play and defend 1v1. Because when it comes down to it, you still got to be able to win the individual battles, to win the big game. But from a pure perspective standpoint, are we good enough on the ball to break layers, and are we good enough on the ball to get in behind and get the goal as quickly as we possibly can?
Okay. Well, as we mentioned, you've just wrapped up your season, so now you got to fill all that time between now and next August, right? So what will your off-season program look like for the team between now and then?
Well, from the end of our season till the end of finals, which that's next week. We're still in the weight room 2 days a week, like we do in season. So during our season, we're in the weight room twice a week, Monday, Thursday for us. And then now we'll send them home with a link to their app. We have a app with our strength and conditioning people that will give them some work to do over the holiday season. We'll come back in early January. They report January 9th. So January 10th, we'll be in the weight room 3 days a week in January and February, as well as we'll do some speed, agility, quickness work with them in the interim. And then per the NCAA, we'll get our 5-week window. We'll start that after our spring break in March, and we'll take full advantage of our 15 training days and our 1 play day in March. Excited to see what the NCAA presidents might do to see if we get the 114 days back. Yeah. If we get the 114 days back, you'll see a lot of Division III coaches smiling and dancing.
I'm sure
we'll get more time with it. I heard somebody explain it before that the Division III athlete has changed, and they're no longer looking for that separation. No, they don't want the soccer first mindset of maybe a Power 5, but they don't want to lose touch with their sport in the off season. So if we're fortunate enough to get the 114 days back from the NCAA, we'll have access to train a little deeper. And I think our players will be significantly happier. For me, that's part of the experience. The student experience for an athlete is, can I play my game? We just want to give them the opportunity to play their game.
For sure. Absolutely. I remember especially with international players who aren't used to restrictions. They just play all the time, and you tell them you can't do anything, and they look at you like you're cross-eyed. But anyway, well, Coach, this has been great. We've covered a lot of ground, but I always like to end these the same way, and that's what didn't we talk about? Is there anything more you want to let us know about, whether it's recruiting, the school, the team, or anything else? I give you the last word.
Well, I think one of the most important things to realize for us, and I think for a lot of programs at the Division III level, is the ability for us to engage our students not just as athletes but as people. And I think our growth model is: can I make you a better soccer player? But can I contribute to the fact of your growth as a professional? So when you leave our institution, are you prepared for the next stages of life? And that same thing, we also want them to realize that as family, it's a forever family. We want them to come back, and we want them to participate. And we've been very fortunate. Our alums come back on a regular basis, and our alums stay engaged. I think one of the most important parts, and one of the reasons I love the D3 model, is the ability to work in that environment with these women as students, as athletes, as people, and to build that cohesive relationship that transcends the 4 years they spend with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend's NCAA Division III Final Four results. You got your rival locally, Case Western there.
We played them tough this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had our chances to beat one of the Final Four teams.
It's always good. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck next season. And if you're in Philly at all for the Coaches Convention, please swing by and say hello at the Discover College Soccer booth, and wish you the best.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. The 2023 United Soccer Coaches Convention is coming up fast, and you don't want to miss it. The largest gathering of soccer coaches, administrators, and fans in the world is coming to Philadelphia from January 11th to the 15th. Only at this convention can you attend sessions crafted with your coaching level and desired topics in mind. Presented by world-class educators, our collection of over 200 lecture sessions and field demonstrations will offer every coach something to bring back to their own training sessions. Visit www.unitedsoccercoachesconvention.org to register. Join us as we celebrate our passion for the beautiful game, and we'll see you there.